Claver joins us from Arlington, Virginia. Here he comes down that long, fast straightaway. Claver Francis in car number 26, the yellow car, passing Don Gottlieb in car 4, the red car, as they went into turn number 8. Claver is one of the top drivers in the Florida Series with 75 points, and he's in 50. As we watch Claver get back up to speed, we'll mention that the Skip Barber Racing Series does have a 4-off rule, and that applies to this lapping session and the races. Any driver puts 4 wheels off the track, or here at Sebring, out of the cones, the drivers must come in for a damage check. This track is really a challenge to the drivers, as I mentioned. Sebring reversed them on very tight, slow turns with big wide sweepers. We had an opportunity to talk to Skip Barber instructor Mike Zemicki about what it takes to go fast here at Sebring.
Now, a little bit of my personal story, Saints and Patriots. My first real memory of life was the violent murder of my natural father. Now, when I talk about my father these days, I'm actually talking about my stepfather, because he's the only one that really raised me, the only father like I really knew. And so I was 3 years old and was right next to my father when he was murdered. My first real memory of life. Well, a few weeks after that, that was in Port Arthur, where I was born, Port Arthur, Texas. So a few weeks, or immediately after the funeral, my mother and I, we moved to Beaumont, and we moved in with my grandmother, right there on Booker Street, corner of Booker and 4th. Well, at least one house in from the corner, Booker and 4th Street, right there in Beaumont, in what was known as the Pear Orchard section of Beaumont. And this young lady came across the street. I was 3 years old, and this young high school girl came across the street, and she just sashayed over, and just the prettiest little things, long thin legs. Hi, my name is Yvonne. And that began a really close relationship to this day. I adopted her as my god sister. Actually, I adopted her parents as my godmother and godfather. I just imputed it upon them, and until her death, and even now I refer to her as godmother. She accepted it, right? She's the one that like took me to Catholic church and all that. Well, that's a bit of a rabbit trail, because Yvonne, maybe that weekend, that exact weekend when she came over and introduced herself, took me to my first high school football game, 3 years old. And it was in Port Arthur, Texas, and it was the Beaumont Hebert Panthers versus the Port Arthur Lincoln Bumblebees. Quite a rivalry. Obviously, 2 all-black schools. Desegregation, integration really hadn't kicked in as of yet. Remember, I'm a child of integration. Probably be the name of my autobiography, Child of Integration. And so my first football game, 3 years old, Panthers versus the Bumblebees. And actually, my half-brother was the quarterback for the Lincoln Bumblebees. And Yvonne, who was a student at Hebert, took me to, we were sitting on the Hebert side. But she let me know that that was my brother, my half-brother, that was out there playing quarterback for the Lincoln Bumblebees. And the thing that struck me from that very first high school football game, Texas high school football game, was the gold helmets. Now, both teams wore gold helmets. The official school colors for Hebert were blue and gold, and the school colors for Port Arthur Lincoln, purple and gold. And they both wore gold helmets. But you only got a chance to see Lincoln play once a year when they played Hebert or they played Charlton Pollard, the other black school from across town. But the distinct thing about Hebert, except for Port Arthur Lincoln, was the gold helmets. And they had gold uniforms. And so growing up in Beaumont and being a fan of the Hebert Panthers, the gold helmet was just, it was symbolic. It had nothing to do with Notre Dame or Boston College or anything like that. UCLA. It was the gold helmet of the Hebert Panthers. So all through elementary school, through the historic days of Hebert and Charlton Pollard and the other schools back then, where Beaumont was known as the Pro Football Hall of Fame because that little small town had produced more NFL football players than any other city in the nation. Some real legends come from Beaumont. The first to break the color line in the Southwest Conference. You guys know him, Jerry Levias, a distant cousin of mine, went to Beaumont Hebert, and others. Maybe more of you probably remember Bubba Smith as an actor playing in those movies, Naked Gun or something like that. I can't remember what movies he was playing in, but he was an actor. Well, he was also an outstanding football player from Beaumont, Texas. And so in those years, the gold helmet was Hebert. And the Bulldogs, Charlton Pollard, who produced their share of professional athletes as well, the legendary coach Willie Ray Smith, you know, they were blue and white, and they had a little white helmet or with red trim. But for Hebert, it was the gold helmet. Under the legendary coach Clifton Ozan, who the school was named after years later, it was the gold helmet. Then Coach Ozan decided to retire. And another fabulous, fantastic, legendary coach took his place. It was controversial, but he did get the job. His name is Alex Durley, the late Alex Durley. Offensive genius. Many of these NFL coaches, all these NFL geniuses they got out there, these young guys, that Patton, McVay, supposedly O'Brien, nothing on the offensive brain of Coach Alex Durley. And so when he took over for just 1 year, the Panthers wore the gold helmet. They changed the uniform, but they kept the gold helmet. And then the next year, when they won the state championship, Coach Durley got rid of the gold helmet. Well, new era, new coach. So he got rid of the gold helmet and it went to the white helmet. And then when they merged the white school with the black school, Coach Durley kept the white helmet. But for many of my fellow Hebert Panther classmates, alums from all the years before I graduated, after I graduated, for us growing up in the Pale Orchard of Beaumont, it was the gold helmet. That was Hebert. Well, I decided to take on a midlife crisis, if you will. Well, I wasn't going to say a crisis, a midlife endeavor, if you will. 30 years after I got out of a single-seater formula race car, I've decided that I'm going to make a quest to get back in one. Now, I don't expect, no, I'm not talking about being a fully sponsored, getting a paycheck. I'm talking about just for fun and as a quest, just as a quest.
As our cameras fall back, once again we pick up Claver Francis as he passes the start-finish line. The drivers that have raced the entire series have run 4 completely 2 different track locations. This Sebring reverse circuit, the most recent, and it's a brand new configuration. The drivers have not seen this before this past week. The second cone track on this same part of the Sebring course, which by the way is the main straightaway and leading on to the main straightaway, part of the Sebring 12-hour course. The second cone track, going the opposite or what I'd call the proper direction. Third setup here at Sebring, new Sebring utilizes the back part of the 12-hour course, including the famous hairpin corner. And the final track used in the Florida Series, Moroso, over in West Palm Beach on the east coast of Florida.
Can a guy that's been out of a race car for 30 years, and at my age, still in pretty good shape, look younger than I actually am, can he actually get back in a car and handle it? Can I get to some level of competitiveness? Can I get back into a single-seater Formula race car, proper race car, and actually make the grid? I don't care if I'm like last on the grid. Can I just get on the grid? Can I actually compete wheel to wheel once again?
Moved right up on top of Doug Messerly. Claver Francis on the move. He'll be looking for a way to get by Doug Messerly as they come onto the front straightaway. Here they come. Claver's sitting back just a little bit between 10 and 11. He's got a run going on Doug Messerly. And here he comes. And right past the start and finish line, you see Claver Francis pull out. You really saw the trap pull Claver Francis's car up there behind Messerly. And into turn number 1, Claver Francis is now in 3rd place. Claver really looks smooth out there. You really don't see him slide the car around. He's turning in a really good performance.
Now, I've told you guys, or I've revealed it, I've been playing around a little bit with some karts, you know, K-A-R-T, karts. And I'm doing pretty good. I'm doing pretty good against the kids. If I say so myself, I still got it. I'm pretty surprised I still got the reflexes and all of that. And so the first step is going to be getting more involved in karting. You just don't go, well, I did the first time, just went and jumped into a single-seater car had never been in a race car before in my life and just paid the money and jumped into one. But it's really not the right way to do it. And so to sort of work my way back up to those types of speeds and reflex necessities, I've been doing a lot of karting. So we're going to go full-fledged on with this quest I am. Hopefully the idea would be to get some sports marketing and exposure for Raging Elephants Radio. One of the great traditions of automobile racing or any kind of motor racing, a distinct feature is the driver's helmet. There's helmets, drivers from decades ago, and the helmet is it's still their trademark. And it was, and back in the day, that was kind of like the only way to really tell who was the driver. Many of the cars looked alike. Teammate cars looked alike. The numbers were small. And what was so distinct, especially in auto racing and Formula One and IndyCar, was each helmet was distinct, individual to the driver. I mean, many of you can still remember AJ Foyt's helmet, or Johnny Rutherford's helmet, or Tom Sneever's helmet, or Rick Mears, or Danny Sullivan. Yeah, I mean, it was usually the sponsor, but you remember the helmets, the Intimidator. So the helmet is very important. So today, To begin my program, I am revealing my new racing helmet as I begin this quest to get back into a single-seater formula car. I'm just doing karting stuff right now. But this is awesome, and this is the gold helmet. What I'm doing is I am reviving the Hebert Panther gold football helmet that many of us in Beaumont, my classmates, fellow alums, this is what we grew up with, the gold helmet.
Into turns 10 and 11. Matt Blevins slows the field way down. And here they come. There's your starter, and the green flag flies. We've got a restart. As our camera pulls back, it shows you the front straightaway from the backside. You see Blevins, Bostic, Claver, Francis, and the rest of the field as they move towards turn number 1. Everybody staying pretty well single file. Blevins remains your leader into turn number 1.
So, whenever I take to the track, even if it's some little karting track somewhere, I'm giving homage, honor. I'm recognizing the legend that is Beaumont Hebert High School, the Panthers, the gold helmet. I don't want anybody to make the mistake that I'm out there trying to give thumbs up to Notre Dame or UCLA or even Lewis Hamilton, who throws on a gold helmet every once in a while. No, it's for the Panthers. The Hebert High School Panthers of Beaumont, Texas. That's the gold helmet. That's what I'll be wearing. Hey, give me some comments. Maybe, I'm thinking about doing a reality YouTube series. I'll put it on Facebook too. Following my exploits in this new quest. You hear the ads all the time here on Raging Elephants Radio about me being a former fully sponsored race car driver. You're about to hear it again. But I'm going at it, Saints and Patriots. Let me know what you think. Facebook.com/Raging Elephants Radio. Send me an email. Send me a text, direct message at Apostle Claver. When we get back, we will talk about Texas. And believe it or not, we still got some more racing to talk about. It deals with Texas. It deals with your money, as a matter of fact. Raging Elephants Radio, the rebellious voice of Texas liberty. Yeah, it's going to have right here. Raging Elephants Radio is going to be right there. And the cross, my primary sponsor, is going to be right there. Be right back. Saints and Patriots. Automobile.
Finish line, John Bostic kicks one of the cones out as he comes around turn number 11. Here they come to the start-finish line. John Bostic does not have a chance. Matt Blevins again raises his hand. This time it's in triumph as he beats John Bostic to the line. And coming out of turn 11, Doug Messerly's gotten by stage 11. You see Claver Francis, he'll take third. And we've just been informed that Matt Blevins has been penalized. Matt Blevins penalized, and he will drop back, and we have a new official order of finish. Here are the final results. Matt Blevins' penalty drops into third place. Our official winner, in car number 5, is John Bostic. Claver Francis moves to second place in car 26. Again, Matt Blevins in third place now. Fourth place goes to Doug Messerly. Fifth place, we go to Steve Gillespie, who had a terrific comeback, starting 13th, made it all the way up to 5th. Sixth place, Adolfo Carion. In his first race, the Skip Barber does well to finish 6th. 7th